guest joining us now live from Gaza. Let me go straight across to him. We are joined by Yousef Hamash. He is a Palestinian advocacy worker who joins us live from Gaza, as I just said. Yousef, thank you so much for speaking to us. This is a very difficult time for people of Gaza. I want to begin by asking you, how are you? How are your family, friends and colleagues?
Thanks for hosting me. And unfortunately, my situation, me and my family and my colleagues, is similar to other 2 million people who are living in this piece of land. Unfortunately, the situation is collapsing day by day. We are under heavy bombardment since 7th of October until now, and thousands of people were killed, hundreds of thousands of houses have been demolished and from the Israeli airstrikes. And with tightening the siege on Gaza, not allowing for any supplies or especially fuel to get into Gaza, as you mentioned in your report, it's making everything even harder for us without fuel, water, and electricity, and also nothing else coming into Gaza. And the demand is really high because a lot of thousands of people had fled from the northern part to the southern part in Gaza. And there is no enough capacity in the south to host these hundreds of thousands of people who were forced to flee from the north and Gaza City. The situation is really difficult for everyone, and it's a bit miserable for everyone and a bit challenging every day to find the daily needs for families and children here.
I can imagine, Yousef, when I spoke to you earlier in the day on the phone and I asked you how you were doing, your reply was, I'm alive. And it even made me wonder if I'd asked you the right question, because that's the situation that Gazans are facing today. Every minute feels like a ticking time bomb.
So every day,
yes, go ahead.
So every day we start our day as our cycle of life is our.
Can you unmute yourself, Yousef?
Sorry.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Again, so every day our cycle of life is a daily life. So every day if we survive, then we wake up for another day. Then we start our daily missions, providing food, water, and food for the families, because we are all hosted here in other houses, or a lot of people who are not lucky to have relatives here, they are hosted in normal schools or hospitals or green areas or other people who are in the streets, while we never have homeless people here in Gaza. If we wake up every day, then it's a new life, because we live day by day and we don't even have enough time to feel sad for the people we lose on a daily basis. It's an impossible situation to live in, and I don't think we can keep up and handling the situation for longer. It's a miserable situation that we are living here, and unfortunately, we don't see a real intervention from outside the world leaders especially, to stop this chaos situation here.
Do you feel, Yousef, that the world has abandoned the Palestinians, the people of Gaza?
It's not a feeling, it's a fact. And everyone can understand that it's became a fact, that no, everyone is mentioning the political situation without considering the human life and the human loss for other 2 million people. And it's not new. This war is not new for us. I witnessed wars more than my age. And unfortunately also, everyone is ignoring there is 2,300,000 citizens living here under this heavy bombardment. And I think more than 12,000 tons of explosives have been thrown on Gaza. And we don't really feel or see, even in the media, that there is any intervention that's taking place outside. All what they were talking about, that allowing 20 trucks to come to Gaza, 28 trucks to come into Gaza. And we saw all this propaganda on the media about the intervention of United Nations and the White House to allow for 20 trucks. In Gaza, before this war, our consumption was 500 trucks per day, without war and without humanitarian need. Now, during all of this chaos, we managed to have 20 trucks of aid. This is unimaginable situation. I don't think, it's really weird that the world is not taking a real action towards the madness that's happening here.
It is madness indeed, and I promise you, Yousef, that I am trying to take the voices of Palestinians to my viewers in India and abroad every single day. But coming back to this important point you made about the humanitarian aid, 20 trucks a day, that's a drop in the ocean. And they're making it sound like a big favor to Palestinians.
Unfortunately, as I mentioned before, our daily need was 500 trucks per day. under the siege, because we are under siege for more than 17 years. They allow for this 20 truck, which is less than a drop in the ocean of needs that we have here. More than half of the population was rely on the humanitarian aid before this madness started. And imagine how is the situation now when people lost their houses or were forced to flee from North and Gaza City towards the south, having nothing. Even I personally, after I lost my house in the north, I had to flee to the south. All what I have is 2 t-shirts and 2 jeans. I had to start my life again. I have to find everything needed for me and my children and my family from the beginning. I don't know why all the world and all the media is talking about this 20 truck. It's really weird.
It is, and it just seems so unfair. You said you lost your home, Yousef, and you had to move from the north to the south with your family. Can you tell us a little bit more about your personal story?
So I lost my house on the third day of this escalation. And when it became really heavy and we were asked to flee and to evacuate from the north and Gaza City toward the south, I collected my family, my extended family. It's not only my wife and my children, my mother and my 4 sisters with their children. We are talking about 24 members. And I asked one of my relatives in Khan Yunis to host us. He was generous, we had the space, but also there's a lot of challenges here every day. We have to find the fuel to push water to the house tanks if we had water. And we need to find the bread. Every day I have to go to stand in line in front of a bakery for more 2 to 3 hours of my day is just in front of the bakery, waiting in line to get half a bucket of bread. And imagine when I'm having 24 members of the family in one house. Also, it's unimaginable situation how we are living here in the night mainly, because it's more intense and the bombing is getting really heavy in the night. So we are really terrified. We are terrified and afraid from the night. So now we wake up in the night because we cannot sleep from the bombing, and we are waiting our turn. Maybe we are next because the bombing is maybe near. Yesterday behind the house, the bombing was very near. 33 people were killed and more than 100 injuries. I didn't imagine that I will see the daylight again. I was lucky. I woke up in the daylight. And that's the day started with your phone call today, and when we discussed the situation. But then now we are waiting another heavy night of bombardment, and unfortunately we are completely useless in front of our families and in front of our children. It's very challenging situation for us here.
We can't even imagine it, Yousef. My heart goes out to all of you. Every day you wake up, you said it feels like a new life, because it really is. You talked about 24 members of your family, including your wife and children. Is it becoming impossible to feed them?
So the main issue is that there is a lot of people who are leaving again from the north and from Gaza City. And Khan Yunis, the city in the south, doesn't have the capacity itself to host all that amount of people. And there is not enough for all of these people here. So the consumption is getting more. So the demand is more and the availability is less. So for example, if we are going to the market finding things for the house, we don't go finding specific things. We go and we buy whatever we have. It's really getting harder every day. The challenge became more harder every day. It used to be 1 hour in front of the bakeries, now 2 hours. Then I believe tomorrow is going to be 3 or 4 hours just find their buckets for bread. And this is despite the other needs. For example, I have one of my sisters, she's pregnant, about to deliver her baby. For me, it's a terrifying situation how I'm going to manage if this happened during the night, because it's not safe to move in the night. How am I going to take her to the hospital, because the hospitals only work in emergency and the ambulance cannot come to pick her. We think about our life on a daily basis. That's what I can tell you. We are living every day, and when it's finished, we wake up for another day, a new life started. We think about our needs. We try to offer them, provide them all. Then if we're lucky to find all the demands, then okay, another day started. The next day, looking for if we survive. It's a bit chaotic situation, and I don't think we can keep up or handle more. This madness needs to stop now. Now, if not now, I don't think when. After more than 6,000 people were killed. You're talking about more than 150,000 houses were destroyed. House and unit were destroyed. What the world need more to convince them to take a real step to stop this madness.
The madness has to stop. I hear you, Yousef, and that's what a lot of us are saying. But Israel is in no mood to listen. They have ruled out a ceasefire, and they keep claiming that we have warned Palestinians, asking them to leave North Gaza and go to Southern Gaza, which is where you are now. So let me ask you, is it correct to say that Southern Gaza is safer than Northern Gaza, or are bombings taking place in Southern Gaza? Are people dying in Southern Gaza too?
Yesterday, it's only yesterday. So yesterday, 110 people almost, I'm not very sure from the statistics, were killed during the night. More than 50 were at Khan Yunis in the south. And there is no safe place in Gaza. All what we are doing is trying to convince ourselves that it's a bit safer there. And then we don't know when the roof will fall above our heads with an airstrike. There is no safe place in Gaza. And this is yesterday I was checking with my family if there is an option in the north, for example, because it became really hard here. We could back and we can come back. I'm really thinking about that because there is no difference between being in the north or in the south. The same bombardment. Maybe in the north it's a bit more intense. There is a lot of bombardment, even random bombardment, because they are pushing people to flee. But because I'm from the north and I know more in the north and I can facilitate things for the family more in the north because it's more challenging here. We are a bit new for the place. We don't have real access for everything because we are not from this area. That's what makes it more challenging. There is no difference between south or north in terms of bombardment and human loss. There is no difference. Yesterday, one airstrike, 5 houses were demolished, 33 people were killed, and more than 100 injury in one airstrike, just one.
No difference between the north and the south. People are dying all over Gaza. You mentioned, Yousef, you have a pregnant sister and you are terrified to think about how you will get her medical attention when she needs it. What is the state of the hospitals? Because what we are told is because Gaza is completely run out of fuel, the humanitarian trucks are not carrying any fuel into Gaza on the instructions of Israel. Hospitals are shutting down operations. The main UN agency working in Gaza says they are forced to halt their operations. What's going to happen?
Actually, the health sector, even before this madness started, is collapsing because under the siege for more than 17 years haven't been really upgraded. And we're facing a lot of challenges. Add to that, more than 14,000 injuries, and the capacity, it's like 400% above the capacity of the hospitals. And also there is a human loss between the doctors. You're talking about 1/3 of the human resources doctors is available in the hospitals, and 12 hospitals are out of service. You do the calculation. You can do it. And imagine having in 20 days or less than 20 days, around 15,000 injuries, 6,000 or more people killed in this narrow piece of land. With even before the medical sector was in really collapsing, even before this madness started. The fuel is an essential need to keep all the hospitals running because there is a lot of hospitals went out of service either because of bombing or because they ran out of fuel or because it's in a dangerous area like Beit Hanun Hospital in the north. And I heard that the Indonesian hospitals in the north was about to shut down. And this is really make it harder for people who get injured. Now, for example, they have to understand, based on the medical situation of each injury, they will decide if he can stay at the hospital, he have to be treated at the house. And even if he was having serious injuries and there is no space at the hospital, they send him at the house. If you go to the hospitals in Gaza, you will find injured people are in the corridors, in the front of the hospital itself, not only in the rooms, because there is no enough space for anyone there.
Yousef, Israel says we can't give any fuel to Gaza because Hamas may use it for military purposes. What do you say to that?
I don't know what is the military purposes from the fuel. This is first of all. And despite anything, they are thinking about this way. If there is a humanitarian need for essential need for hospitals, and there is thousands of ways to monitor all of that fuel, and as they monitor that one truck that everyone was talking about it as a life-saving thing, which is like a major thing that they did, they could find a very clear method that can clarify all the demands that they're looking for and provide the fuel at least for the hospitals. This can be easily done through the UN, international agencies, other humanitarian actors. This can be done, but there is no real steps towards that. No one is talking about that because it's a responsibility for everyone to do or interfere and giving a real intervention, especially in that as a beginning. We were hoping that this one track could be a site of hope. It's like a small window towards something bigger. Then we failed. And it's not that we failed, the world failed us. The humanity failed us. It's really weird how 2 million people suffering from all of that under the sight of the entire global population. There's 8 billion people seeing what's going on, and no one is doing anything. This is inhuman.
This is inhuman. This is catastrophic. The world has failed Palestinians. Humanity has failed Palestinians. I could not agree more with you. And as you were saying that the international community must intervene, you have Israel preparing for a ground invasion of Gaza, Yousef. How much more catastrophic is that likely to be?
This is going to be a fire to a fuel to the fire. This is another scenario that we are really afraid of. All of this bombardment and all of this violence without the ground invasion. I used to work as a journalist, and I witnessed 2008, 2009, 2014, 2018, 2021 wars as a journalist. So I really understand what it means for a ground invasion and how it needs a militant power to cover it. So this scenario is scaring, and it's terrifying everyone here. If this really take a place and they did the ground invasion, you are talking about, despite all of this madness, it's going to be a new level of bombardment and a new level of violence.
All right. And, I want to ask you also about the number of Palestinians who have been killed. According to the Palestinian Health Ministry, 6,500. Are you worried, Yousef, that the real figures could be much higher? Because there are perhaps bodies lying buried under the rubble of collapsed buildings.
There is more than 1,500 requests to the Ministry of Health and to the Civil Defense about people who are under the rubble. This number is just as the beginning of something really bigger. And for me, even this number is enough to show the world how is the situation here. In 20 days, more than 6,000 and more than 1,500 are missing under the rubble. Hopefully, and I'm pretty sure, as we witnessed before, you will find some incredible stories for people who survived even under the rubble. And I really hope it's going to be all of them. But when you look to the situation in general, you think in a weird way to us. We see other crises in the world and how the world interfered, and I don't want to compare it to other crises in the world, but this is unacceptable. How is the double standard toward people? If you are dealing with a human being, as you have to deal them as a human being, despite their race, their color, or who they are, or where they are, or what type of conflict they are under in. This is a human being. There is a humanitarian law that protecting them even under war. But this double standard from the world and this unacceptable silence from the international community and the world leader is really shocking. It's really shocking.
It is shocking. In fact, the United Nations chief said that nothing justifies the attacks on Palestinians in Gaza, and Israel is so upset over that statement, they have decided not to issue any more visas to UN officials. And the US, France, UK, multiple Western countries have said we fully stand by Israel. They have every right to defend themselves. And in the name of Israeli self-defense, thousands of Palestinians are dying.
Attacking houses without warning and forcing thousands of people to flee, and bombing more than 150,000 houses and killing more than 6,000 people is a self-defense. Let's the world do the calculation. I don't want to talk because I'm Palestinian. I'm part of this tragic situation. Look to the statistics and the figure, and please, you tell me that that's a self-defense. How this is considered a self-defense, despite all these governments are saying. They are just ignoring that there is more than 2 million people living this chaotic situation and looking to the situation on one eye and closing the other.
And what explains these double standards according to you, Yousef? I mean, are Palestinians being treated as children of a lesser god? Their lives don't seem to matter to the world?
Unfortunately, yes. While every life matters, we are a human being. We are all what Palestinians were seeking for years, to live like other 8 billion people on this planet. We don't want more. Just like other human beings. And I don't mind half of that, the rights of a human being, but we don't even have the half of that. We don't have even animal rights. I'm really sorry to say that, but we don't even have it. And despite all of that, world is seeing all what's going on, and no one is doing anything, which is shock. Even I'm really personally, I'm shocked. How is the reaction from the international leaders, all the international community leaders? Everyone is mentioning what happened 7th October, and you agree or not with it, or all of that, and they just ignore 2 million civilians living their life, just leaving them under this heavy bombardment. I never think in my entire life, I never even imagined that I would live this kind of situation, just being displaced in Khan Yunis. Was lucky someone is hosting me from my relatives. And at least when every day, if I manage to find the house need and my children need, I feel lucky that like I did it. I did it. I get the bread. I want everyone to see the smile on people's faces when they get the booked bread after waiting in line for 2 hours. The smile they have is like a victory smile that they get $1 million. It's worth more than $1 million when you want to feed your children. And everyone is just ignoring that. They're just leaving us in that situation. And I don't know until when we can keep up and handling this situation. And all what we can do is every day, if we wake up, then new life started. We do our role, provide for the family and the children. Then wait if we manage to live another day to start the cycle again, while everyone is just looking to the situation in a weird way without doing anything to stop it. That's it's really weird. I don't really have enough words to describe how it's really hurt us. It's not only the bombardment; it's more how that no one is really caring about that. This is more. It hurt more than being bombed. It really hurt more. When you
Not
feel that you are less than a human, it really hurt more.
not being cared for hurts more than being bombed. I think those are very strong words, but you're right. I completely understand what you're saying, even though it's unimaginable for us, the life that you're living. But nobody caring about Palestinians is so much worse than being bombed. And you're right, killing thousands of people and bombing millions of homes, that cannot be described as self defense.
And I think I ran out of words describing what we are going through. But I think all the world need to know that we are living lives of hell, and it's a responsibility for everyone. It's a matter of being a human being. It's something related to humanity. It's a responsibility for everyone on this planet to push towards stopping all of this madness. And history, remember, history doesn't forget. And I really hope that, especially the international community and world leaders, when they look to their children, just imagine or think or remember children who are being under the situation in Gaza. And just for a second, look to your children and imagine they are living this hell here. And after that, let's see what they will think.
I don't think they would even want to imagine. That is the level of insensitivity that we are looking at. But, you know, I hate to ask you this, but I will. Tell me this, Yousef. What would you say to those Israelis who say that the blood of these Palestinians is on Hamas's hands, not on ours?
Yeah, it's a matter of, it's a blood. There is people are bleeding on a daily basis. There is people killed on every hour, every 5 minutes at least. According to statistics, if you multiply the statistics on the time, that 20 days, every 3 to 4 minutes, there is one being killed. I don't care. It's a responsibility of who is that's responsible for the killing. I care about the international community to stop that. It's not the time to think it's whose responsibility and who's killing who. It's a responsibility for everyone to stop that killing. And there is a lot of racism, there is a lot of ignorance, but we don't think about that. We are just hoping, pushing, calling, praying, whatever you call it, to stop this madness. despite anything they think about, despite how they will think about us. And even if this stops, while I really hope this stops soon, I don't think that there is a way to recover from all of this madness that we are in. And I don't think there is social methods that could help us to recover from this situation, the human loss that we see, and the destruction, the experience, the incidents that we win. We need years, even if this stops, we need years to recover, to deal with just to live normal life. We need more than years. I don't think, we need decades just to recover from all what happened in these 20 days only. And it's not a matter of who's responsible again, who's responsible for killing who. It's a matter of stopping that killing. People are getting killed on a daily basis. This needs to stop.
It is innocent Palestinians who are paying the price and have got caught in the crossfire between Hamas and Israel. So I'm going to ask you this, Yousef, through our channel. What is your message for Israel? What is your message for Hamas? And what is your message for the world today?
Yeah, and I don't think if I say anything for any part of the two sides, we're going to hear. But I have a message for the international community and world leaders to stop that. And even if they stop it, they have to go back to the root causes for all of that. We keep living in this cycle of violence. This is not new. This is not the first time that we are in this war. This is, even me, I witnessed 2004, 2008, 2009, 2012, 2014, 2018, then 2021 when my house was also bombed while my wife was pregnant, and it was a chaotic situation also. Then I'm witnessing that now. We need stopping this madness immediately, and also we need a longer term solution for us. Lifting the siege on Gaza as a beginning and find the solution for us as Palestinians living in this cell for more than 70 years. World leaders had to take the responsibility and stand ahead the responsibility, not avoiding that. They should. They should. And I hope anyone listens. All what we can do, because trust me, the solution for this situation is not here, not here. The solution is outside. The solution is in other hands. The solution is in the international community and world leaders' hands. It's not us or the Israelis or anyone here. It's people who are outside who can see the clearer image from above and need to interfere stopping this madness. It's their responsibility, and they have to stand ahead their responsibilities.
It is the responsibility of the international community to end this madness. I agree with you 100%. But let me also ask you this, Yousef. While the bombings need to stop and there has to be a ceasefire, do you believe that Egypt should be willing to accept refugees from Gaza? Because it has said no so far.
I can give you this just because this question, especially everyone's talking about that. Even personally, I'm a refugee. I born and raised as a refugee in a refugee camp named Jabalia in the northern part of Gaza. I always was listening to my grandfather telling me about immigration when they had immigrants from Al-Majdal, from then to Gaza, to Jabalia and the refugee camp. I will never accept to be the second generation of refugees, and I will never leave, even if the roof will fall above my head. I'm not going to be the second generation of immigration. And also, unfortunately, I have to leave because I cannot move in the darkness, and it's getting dark now. So I'm really sorry.
No, you don't have to apologize. I am sorry that I kept you for so long. And I thank you from the bottom of my heart, Yousef. My prayers with you, with your family and all Gazans. I hope all of you stay safe. Please stay in touch and keep me posted on your well-being. Thank you so much for speaking to us, Yousef. Thank you. Thanks a lot.